It's very hard to get people on the grid. There are nicer visual Gettext editors, so that's a bit more easier, but it's still new tool you need to learn. One of the big problems is you need to time your translation properly. For a contributed module, like let's say views is very popular. You would like to have a translation for views. Whenever views is released, it generates the site generates a tarball and it's dead. If you have your translation later, bad luck. You cannot have your translation in that tarball because it was released. It's there is fixed. So you need to coordinate your translations with the project maintainers. Some projects announce as a translation is that I'm about to release this module. So look at my module, translate it. I give you 1 week or 1.5. You translate and release it together. But it's not, and most of the time it's not coordinated, so it's not working well. You also need to track project progress and goals. So whenever stuff changes in the law, you need to go there, discuss, help the module maintainer to do translatable strings, know how to use TM format URL and JavaScript and stuff like that. And then even if you have your core translation, you have your contributed translation. There's a lot of stuff which should be the same. Like a lot of contributed modules use the same terminology, the same interface alignment, save, delete, submit, same table headers. And when you generate templates for the contributed modules, they are empty. You need to fill them in. So you need to translate these again and again and again and again. It's a lot of work, and you can reuse your existing stuff. Or it's hard because you need to merge with the core translations and stuff like that. So it's not easy. But people still manage. It's a lot easier than sharing SQL docs. So there are a lot of translations already working quite nice. We have Drupal that are such translations, which takes a lot of translation projects. The problem is that contributed translations are scattered into the contributed module subfolders. So whenever you need to build a site and your client says just that you need to have 4 more languages there, and you need to find the modules, and you don't know whether they will support the languages or not, whether you need to have it translated yourself or it's already translated by someone. It's hard to get this information. And yeah, some teams even have their own download locations or project management stuff. Just the Catalan team has their own project management translations in an external site. So people are not satisfied with what Drupal offers for translation. So that's where we go. And it's bad for users. Because when they enable a module, it automatically creates a database. It checks for dependencies. It even helps you get it set up, but it doesn't help you import the translations. You need to upload them one by one. And if you upload them and you like to have some existing translation corrected, it can easily screw up any other stuff that you had on your site, translated fine. You can go through very easily. So, although it's possible, it's still paid for translators and it's paid for users. So that's where we are at. There are a lot of stuff that's better in Drupal 6. I also told about this today earlier, so I'm not going deeply into this. There's a language collection served in Polar, and there's full localized installer there, which installs translations for all enabled modules. So it goes quite fine. I might just show you this very quickly, especially if I have. I'm just preparing to put down. You will see why it needs to be seen. Yep. So one file, and then I'm ready to show you the demo. I have a site set up already, and I just clearing up everything under it so I can show stuff to you here. Yep. Yeah, I hope it's now. So yeah. So whenever you are on a site which has whenever you try to install Drupal, that's the first point. It asks you whether you would like to continue installing Drupal in English or learn how to do it in your language. So when you go to learn how to do it, it has an explanation of go to the translation page, download the toggle for your version of Drupal, extract it to whenever it needs to be extracted, and then if it's done, then you can continue in the language you want your site to be installed. So let me just extract the translation package here. You're going to see what I'm doing, but it's not relevant. We'll get to how I do this. There we go. Good. Then I have the package here, which, yep, I basically. So when I extract the Drupal language package into the Drupal directory, I can enrich it to choose language page, and it shows that I have a language which was extracted there. So I choose that one, and I continue with that. It's partly translated. It's a Drupal 5 translation, so excuse me, it's not fully translated, but we should do with it. Let's see if I have to change it faster. No. So I go don't do it. So, how to scroll? Did I miscroll something? No, it's yeah, I know it was broken. I just dropped the database and didn't create it. That's kind of fish. So just create a database. Should be fine. Okay, right here. Create a shorter one. So create a database. I'm not sure how many of you tried Drupal 6, but it has a configure site screen, so I can just fill this in. This has password strength checking, password equality checking. It has my time zone selected automatically, and it has my free rules enabled. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when I hit save. What happens? Whoops! Demo. That's a fun bug. HTTPR 200 is it's a fun bug. Anyway, I'm not fixing it. It's just a simple fix. You should have been seeing progress bar which runs and it ends at 100%. And my site is fully translated. So. That's the automation we added to Drupal 6. is that you, at the start, it informs you that you can install Drupal in different languages if you want to. Then you have a fully localized installer, then it imports every installation. It has a small bug in beta 1, so it's not working in beta 1, but it is a very small bug, it's a one-line fix. Anyway, it's nicely working. And we have automated imports when a new language is added, a module is installed, or a theme is enabled. The problem we didn't have time to tackle is what to do when you disable stuff. Because we don't know where it's going to be used. So if you disable a module, we don't know whether that string imported for that module is used at 3 other places. So we can just simply delete everything we had for that module. So it stays in your database, it takes up some resources. The easy answer is if we clean up the whole database and import everything again from the start. But it doesn't work if you have translations customized for your own needs. So if you customize something, then we shouldn't buy it out. So that's a tough question. We'll have an answer for that in a contributed module for Drupal 6. And I hope to have an answer for that in Drupal 7 and Drupal core because it's a performance question, but I think it's important. It's not a functionality question, it's just a performance question, but it's important. But there's a small feature in Drupal 6 is that it tracks what version string was used in. So if you upgrade from Drupal 5 and it finds that you have leftover strings from 10 modules you tried sometime, then it doesn't load those strings into memory for a cache and doesn't do anything with them until you actually start to use them. So it tracks the versions the string was used in. So it helps in the cleanup, but it's not enough for a complete cleanup. What we needed to change and we decided to bring backwards from later in the year is that we need to come with a new packaging format. Because the problem with Drupal 5 translations, especially core translations, is that when you import the translation, it's a huge half a megabyte text file which needs to be written, which needs to be part of the array structure, which needs to be inserted to the database, and everything like that from memory. So it takes a lot of memory. We optimized it in different Drupal versions. It's getting better, but it still takes a lot of resources, and most of all, it takes a lot of time. And PHP execution limit is sometimes not something you can control. So what we decided is we have smaller files. It's better for the translators because once they translate the smaller files, they translate in Drupal 5 smaller files. But what we've done is that we merged all the small files and we have one big file to import. What we do in Drupal 6 is that the translators have smaller files and we use those smaller files on that. So what we ship to users is what the translators work with. So the users can contribute easier, and the importing can be much more fine-grained. That's also a performance improvement. So in Drupal 5, if you don't use full module, blog module, for module, if you import a half a megabyte translation file, everything's imported. Full module, for module, but you don't use it. What we do here is that we import just the module translations you need, just for the languages you need. So what's in the database is only what you really need, and we can achieve this with the smaller files. We have this code subfolder in the contribution. We rename to translation, so it's more friendly for users, and that's how it looks like for core. You have a module, and whenever there's a module folder, there's a translation subfolder, and there you have code files. It's not limited to having the language name .code file anymore. It can have any purpose and language name .code file, and that's imported automatically when blog module is enabled. When blog module is enabled, and you have the Hungarian language enabled on your site in Lokia module. That file is imported automatically in the progress bar, and the same for blog API translation. That's our backend front of book. But or at least my understanding was that it's not far enough. We have smaller files, we have a lot of performance improvements for you, it's easier to edit, but it's still hard. So I came up with the idea, or no, it was not me. It was lingering around the community for a very long time that we need better tools for on-site translation. So when you start a site, you'd like to have translate there where you are. So that's when on-page translation came in. There's an L10 and client module which you can grab and install, and it helps you translate the stuff where you are. I also talked about it this morning. It needs a lot of interface cleanup, so don't get crazy on the current interface. We are working on improving it, but I think it would be good if I could show you a demo. But hey, I still wouldn't like to have screen mirroring here. So I think I have it on this side. I have quite a few development sites. So that's what you see when you're on the Drupal site. If you enable the localization client module, what's new here is that a little form at the bottom that shows what string was used just to build this one page. And you open it up, and you see that there are these string breaks, administrable Bulgaria, to speed up the taxonomy. These are the help text, seen above, paragraph by paragraph, welcome to a Drupal website, etc. And whenever you need something configured, like let's say home, you select that one. Let me go. Should be something here, but anyway, we'll see. You translate it here. You save your translation, and it's already in there. It shows that the GUI shows that it's already translated, so it's done. And whenever you watch this page again, home is already translated. Oops. What language am I in? That was back again. It's working now. Anyway, you can probably imagine how this works. Yeah.
So is this a module you activated?
Yeah. That's a contributed module you can install for Drupal 6 because it uses new functionality only available in Drupal 6. Excuse me, can I get your information? Isn't it funny? No. Okay. Make it more comfortable for you. So when you go to modules, and you have localization client module enabled. That's what basically shows at the bottom. We don't see it because it's English. On English, the built-in English, it's not possible to modify it. So either you add a custom English option to languages, or whenever you switch to any language that's on the site and it's starting to be used, then I have important things. So that's what's used on the page. So if you notice, we have here languages, configure languages, preferences, user interface, state configuration. And these options are English name, native name. These are used on this page. So this basically helps you if you just wander around your site and you notice that this needs to be translated, and just so you can go down the page and translate it. This UI needs to be refined. Very funky, made by a developer, so we need to work on this, but it's a very nice tool if you have something in your business which needs to be done there. It saves to the same database as the localization stuff in Drupal, and it uses the same system. So It's just an easier interface on the same side. And it works on your side. But what about collaboration? I thought that we had these on-site models before you could go to SQL stuff, but what about collaboration? We need to simplify that stuff too. So honestly, Drupal knows about all the projects. Drupal knows about all the releases of the project. Drupal has all the source codes for all the releases of all the projects. So we can automate the content generation by that. We can inform module developers about not translate or badly translatable stuff. So what localization server aims at is we maintain a list of projects and releases, and we basically pull the source code for them, parse everything we find, and then make that translatable on a web interface for the community. The localization community module that's in here, which reuses organic groups. So it provides a full library of web interface where you can log in and translate. People can have different permissions for translation. It could be possible that someone is just able to suggest translation, someone else needs to approve it, or it could be that everyone's equal and everyone can do whatever it needs to be done. And there is, of course, important exporting Gettext. If anyone knows Rosetta, the Launchpad Rosetta system, who? One. That's very similar to what Rosetta does, but it's very focused on what we need for Drupal. So the new process works with a groups Drupal-like group interface. So there are language groups, and you can subscribe to any number of language groups. Every group can have one of the two permission levels. Either it's open and everyone can translate directly to the final translations, or either it's controlled, which means that there are a few administrators who approve stuff. And because it's organic groups, it can hold discussions, debates, vocabulary, dictionaries, everything that can be in an organic group. It's outsourced. It's probably outsourced to organic groups, so it's not our problem. What our problem is that we need to track projects and releases. We need to be able to import everything that's already done and everything that's done outside the system. And we need to be able to export stuff for Drupal 6 modules for automatic importing. And we provide a web interface. What would be very cool, and I am working on that, is that you have that localization client interface I already showed you. So when you translate something on your site, you would be able to just check and share that translation with the community, which would be easiest to collaborate with translations because it allows micro contributions from a huge number of people using Drupal. But because we don't have much time, I should demo this to you as soon as possible, for which I will turn on a summary, because otherwise I'm very much broken there. So I have a localization server interface here, which basically starts with the welcome screen. It informs you what it's about, how you work, there's some quick stats, there's some handling, but it's not that important. We have groups. So we have translation groups. I only have Hungarian groups set up here, but you'll see that there are a lot of translations already. So the idea is that every translation team has a group here, and it has a regular group homepage, group notes, group notifications, group whatever. So they have a collaboration space. I set up a meeting with Moshe, who's the maintainer of groups Drupal.org, and it's probably this stuff will be made live on groups Drupal itself. So the existing language groups and region groups will be able to do this. But a lot more interesting is the translate menu item, where we have all languages. This is just a list of a collection of languages we already have contributed for Drupal. Isn't it amazing? We just went through how hard it is. And it's already a list of so many languages. I don't have stuff imported here, so that's why everything's red. But the red means it's not translated, nothing is translated. but it's just basically because I'm lazy to import everything now. So we have a by language overview, which enables you to choose a language overview, by project overview, which enables you to choose a project. I have these two projects for developer purposes here. And when you go to like organic groups, you can check whether you run what language you want to translate it to. You can import your existing translations for organic groups here, and it stores it. And you can export translation templates and translations themselves too. So let's go to like Hungarian organic groups translation. That's how it looks. That's how it looks like. So we have software translation. These are translatables, and we have a nice filter here. So you can look at all the strings available. You can look at everything that's not translated. You can look at everything which has suggestions for translation. You can look at everything which already is translated. And then you can also filter by releases. I have these two releases parts just for demo purposes. So you can filter for a release. Or you can filter for arbitrary types, like I like to look at the operations string, which is a very common string in all the modules, so I'm sure that it's in organic groups too. So, and there when I'd like to translate something, maybe to Hungarian, because I'm in a Hungarian team, I translate it to Hungarian, I save. So there it's saved. If I think that, if I'm interested in more information about it, I can translate the eject stuff, and it says who's translated that, when translated that, what stuff uses that. So if we have I have a list of projects where we have a summary, what release uses that stuff, what project uses that stuff. When we get to parse all the 2,000 projects, this might be a huge list for operations, but we'll find out how to make it manageable. And then I might think that operations or my translation is not fine, so I can open up the translation field and either copy something there which I want to edit. I just made a typo here, and if I want to, I can discuss this with the team. So I store this as a suggestion, and it has and then it has a new icon here which says that it has suggestions. Unresolved suggestions actually, and then when I open it for more information, I have the outstanding suggestions listed there, so I can either copy and see how to fix that suggestion, or I can say that okay, it's fine, and I can approve the suggestion. So next time it's loaded, the newly suggested text is there. You see. So what's cool about this is that whatever translation I have from before in this system, or have it because I love to translate outside this system, I don't like using this system because it's ugly or it's not friendly for me or anything, I can import it. So let's say I have a Hungarian general string there, general.co. I open it and I import. So it says that I have 59 new translations, and when I go to this list, it already shows in the summary that I have this many translations in the Hungarian organic groups. How is this less than? Oh yeah. What I imported was not for organic groups. So it was a general Drupal reusable string translation. So that's why it's not there. And when I go by language, I of course also see it here. So I imported the general Drupal translation stuff, which is for core, and it shows that just by importing that stuff for core, I already have 2.5% translated of e-commerce, also even, and I have 7.3% translated of organic groups, already done. And when I go into there, I can just check what's translated, and it shows me, and if something's not fine with me, what? Somehow remember what I. Yeah, no. Okay, anyway. So I can go in and see what's translated there. So that works. And finally, that's better shown with organisms or with e-commerce. So finally, when I'm ready, and I'd like to export stuff for use, I can export whatever I need. I can export an organic group translation here. And the export basically generates a tarball for me, because it's not one big file, it's a lot of smaller files, which I save here. And if I go there and just extract that, set the e-commerce Hungarian translation, it's in the structure expected by Drupal 6. It's this different modules, subdirectories, like there's a store module there, and it has a translation subdirectory, and there's all the files used by store module. Info, etc., and every Hungarian translation is built into these files. And every other subfolder has these nice little files. So when you enable store module, all these are imported for your Hungarian stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't include the shootable language code in the file name. So that's another bug we just done it. It's not ready. So that's how it looks. That's how it currently works. It's I hope that it's a nice collaboration interface for project translations, and I hope that this will help get even more contributions for Drupal translations, especially when the localization clients to work with the server. But the actual question is, when will this go live? I hope that it will go live by the time of Drupal 6, so it might not be possible to do your Drupal 6 translation on this interface if you wanted to have by the time Drupal 6 is so you can have the release at the same time. But I'm working on it, so I hope that it will be ready in time. There are a few bugs. I could use a lot of testing help here. And there are still a few little features to implement, mostly getting these storables up to Drupal.org. So we have the translations done, we have the storables done, we need to get it up to Drupal.org for distribution. That's the biggest problem we have to tackle. So we are in discussion with the guys, with the infrastructure guys, where should we put this? It will probably end up at group.drupal.org. It will probably be installed there, so there will be a useful translation server which has you. So, thanks. Any questions? No? Yeah.
I thought the site would be a number of 20 languages, and if I download a module, and that module is translated into 5 languages, and later those get translated into more languages, will that automatically update as well?